Well, none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots, yeah. None of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots. I'm telling you now, the truth, the truth. Telling you, yeah, the truth, the truth. You have to go back to the roots, the roots. Go to the roots, to the roots. Yeah, man, this is Benjamin out of the Smiling Coast, West Africa, Gambia, representing for the one and only Abu, the big man you don't know, the Soninke warrior, the man that brings the truth, Soninke warrior, the sign of enlightenment, the Soninke warrior, the righteous and the true African. Abu, reveal the truth to them, no matter how them try run from it, because none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Yes, we have to dig back the roots, yeah. Fire!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Afridamos Report. I want to welcome you on today's edition of the Afridamos Report. I'm your host, Afridamos. If you're new here, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Nakmizi, welcome in the house. St. James, Audrey, African Caribbean Diaspora, Stoic One, and all the people that I haven't mentioned. Can you guys hear me? Somebody said, put a 1 in if you can hear me, because someone is saying they can't hear the sound. Let me know if you can hear me, because I don't want to sit here and just keep talking and you guys can't hear me. Okay, perfect. African diaspora, you might want to check your sound there. Ladies and gentlemen, and Jamie, welcome in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about the story of Africans who played a role in the transatlantic slave trade. When you say trade, it means it's between two individuals. So if you are someone who is sensitive, too sensitive, I'm giving you a warning right now, to leave, because you're going to hear stories that is going to be completely different from the propaganda that you have been fed. Because for some reason, I see so many people, like this information is out there, but they go out of their way completely to try to avoid what the truth is. And I'm not speaking as somebody who even have anything to do with this. None of us have anything to do with this. This is from many, many centuries ago. And if you understand that you are separate from those people, because those people have their own lives. So slavery was a normal thing back then in these societies. It was normal. But now, every time people talk about slavery, I mean, even people who are descended from the people who were sold into the slavery, they would exonerate the actual African traders that participated. And you see some Africans themselves who are possibly from these regions where the slavery was very much organized. Because you see, let me tell you one thing. People, because sometimes they would say, oh, these Africans don't know about the slavery, they don't care. But now you have to ask yourself, where was this concentrated at? Is every African a part of it? It's a trade. So people that are into this business, they have names, they have faces, because you cannot just get up and walk into a territory, especially as human beings. You cannot just walk up to people and do whatever you like. That's not how life works. I mean, you guys know better than that. So I'm someone who have been always interested in how this happened. I have walked up to these places and I have seen, the slave houses where they held people at, the evidence. So, but one thing I never do is to try to pass my own judgment or opinion is just crazy. I mean, I'm just glad that I was in alive in that century, because people, it was crazy the way the people lived their lives. And just the idea to be able to sell another human being, for material product. And today I'm going to show that here on the thumbnail, the pictures that you see there. um, One of them, the one in the turban, that's Ayuba Ben Suleiman Jallo. He was a prince from Bondo State. It was a empire in present-day Senegal. And the other one is William Ansa Sissoroko. Um, he is from the Fanti tribe, uh, from present-day Ghana. Used to be called the Gold Coast, from a town called Anamabo, but now they call it Anamabo. Um, so this Anamabo was a huge slave trading, port, during the Atlantic slave trade. And most people don't even understand, like, it was, like William Cicerco, his father, John Coranty. John Coranty was a huge slave trader. He was a Fanti man, on the coast. So he was the intermediary between the Ashantis in the inland and the Europeans. And during those days, many of these people, in fact, they were educated, and people don't know this. It was normal. In fact, it was normal for those elite people, the people in those higher status who were selling slaves. It was normal for them to have their children, sent off to Europe, you know, to go get educated. People think this just started just today. No. And I'm about to tell you the story of William Ansa Sissereko, he himself, how he fell victim to slavery. You know how you hear most people, they tell the story, oh, we were kings. You know where that came from? That came from because every now and again they would, some of these princes would be captured, you know, by accident and sold into slavery. So, eventually they would, they would escape from slavery. You see? So there's a lot that happen that people are not even aware of. This is going to, I'm sure for many of you, this is going to be a huge shocker to know this, because you see, when it comes to African history, especially with the slave trade, people don't make distinction. They don't make the distinction to say, okay, such and such person did this. So they would always try to group everybody. But now, if you are grouping everyone, right? If it's called a trade, who was doing the trade? Who were they trading? There has to be somebody making the trade, and there have to be the people that are being sold. Who are these people? So that's the face I'm going to show you today. And Ayuba Ben Suleiman, like I said, he's from the Bondo state. This was a small kingdom somewhere in Senegal. He's a Fuller man, and he himself, in fact, he was a slave trader. How he ended up in slavery, I'm about to tell you. He was known, they were known, they would raid, these small Mandinka villages, and they would capture them and sell them into slavery. So on one fateful day, Ayuba Ben Suleiman, who was, he's educated, by the way. He was educated, in Arabic. He could read and write Arabic. He was Muslim. Him and a friend, Lamin Jai, they were on their way from Senegal. You remember, I always tell you guys that, like, Gambia, the present day Gambia, because it's at the mouth of the Atlantic, It was just a transit point. The people they were selling, they were from way in the interior, because that's how they did it. Because they have to capture these people that they sell into slavery. They would be waiting for months at a time. They would be waiting for months at a time for the ships to come. Remember, it is not like today where things were fast. Things happen over time, like it's slow. So then it wouldn't make sense. It would not make sense to have the people that live around you know that slave port, keeping them as trying to capture them and selling them. Obviously that's not going to work, because they would revolt, because they know the town. So they have to capture people who don't know that area, and bring them you know to wherever the shipping port is. So this Ayuba, him and a friend, they were on their way from Bondo, to sell two slaves that belonged to his father, who was the ruler of that kingdom. So I'm telling you, it was not just ordinary people who could do this. It was people in the ruling class who had the power to sell other human beings. And this is how they made their money. I'm sure some of you have heard about the Dahomey kingdom and other kingdoms along those lines, where people try to hail as great, but you don't know that their economy was based on selling humans. Even people today, most people that even try to hail those kingdoms as great, your ancestor, the people you descended from, they possibly were one of the products of that kingdom. They were sold off as the product of that kingdom, so that they can make money. And I'm going to show you the trinkets they were selling human beings for. I'm going to show you all the trinkets. I'm not going to leave anything behind, because I want you to see for yourself how those people, how they used to think. So it's not a matter of how you feel about the people. It's a matter of what actually happened. There were many, many, many stories. It's not one size fits all. There were many, many. Different areas, they do it differently. But at the end of the day, the goal was selling human beings for products. That's what it was. So this Ayuba, on his way, taking the two slaves to to the Gambia, place called Gambia today, to the port, to go sell them to the Europeans. On his way, he came to a Mandinka village. He was going by a place called Jara. It's in Gambia. So since they recognize him as a slave, they used to raid those people and sell their people off to slavery. So they captured him and his slave, him and his body. They shaved their heads off and went and sold them to the Europeans. That's how they used to do it. They would shave your head off, so that, because it was, by the way, you must know, it was illegal in some of these territories to kidnap people. But if you shave them off, it would look like, you captured them in a battle. Now that was allowed. If you go into battle in war situations, when you capture people in this war situation, now they become your slave. You get to do whatever with them. So Ayuba, they took him, sold him off to the Europeans. He tried to bargain his way out of it and said, he's from royalty. Please let him write a letter to his father, so his father can pay ransom to the Europeans and let him off. They allowed him to do that, but the messenger did not return back, quickly. So Ayuba ended up in America. They took him and sold him off in Maryland. While in Maryland, because like I said, he's Muslim. He performs his prayers, and somehow, since he was smart because of his writing skills, they eventually found out, okay, truly this guy is from royalty. Somebody called Sir Oglethorpe. This is the founder of today's Atlanta, Georgia. Bought him and brought him to England. They brought him to England, and eventually they put him on a ship that was going to present day Gambia. They took him back there in 1735. So, but this man himself, he was a slave trader. In fact, later he worked for the Royal African Company, the same company that sold him, you know, in Maryland, that sold him into slavery. And prior to that, he was still a slave trader. Their kingdom held many, many slaves. So the other territories that they would conquer, they keep those people as slaves, and they would sell them for European trinkets. And I'm going to show you a video here shortly, about, I'm going to show you these trinkets and how much the exchange rate was, the type of things they are exchanging for human beings. You will see everything for yourself. Oh, you thought, oh, Olauda Equiano. No, that's not Olauda Equiano. They are different, completely different people. Olauda is from present day Nigeria, like Benin Kingdom. He was snatched up. He was kidnapped as a child at age 11. He's different. But William Ansa Cicerocco, his father's name is John Corantier. He was the uh, chief of Anamabo. He had two children. One of them was studying in Bordeaux, France, at the time. People, I bet most of you never thought. You guys thought they were just there raiding the Africans, and Africans were not going back and forth to Europe. No, these elites have children who were in schools. So this John Corinthian, what he did was, I'm talking, this guy was a savvy businessman. So he sent one son to France, so that not only is he there as a student, but he was also a spy to learn and see what the Europeans, the French people are doing, how they do things. That's what he was there for. He had a daughter. His daughter's name was Ifwa Ansa. She was married. She was married to the most well-known slave trader on the coast at the time, Richard Brew. He was a white Scottish man. So swirling didn't just start right now. It was going on the coast for a long, long time. Even during those days, it was happening. So she was married to Richard Brew. Richard Brew was a white man who was a slave trader living on the coast at the time. He was living there with the people at the time, and he had, children, mixed kids that lived there as well. But when William Cicerocco was, he was supposed to go to school in England. So when the slave ship, they were taking some slaves with them, they were supposed to go through Europe. They were supposed to go through Europe and drop him off in Liverpool in England. But instead, the ship never made it to Liverpool. They went to, I believe, Barbados. And these people, the ship captain, they sold him off as a slave in Barbados. So he was enslaved for a couple years until until, they went and told his father that, he was dead. But because they said, seasickness, he died from diseases. That was very common back in those days. But he didn't believe it. So this is going to blow your mind too. So some of the sailors on the ships at the time, they were fanties. Yes, you heard me right. It was some Africans, even on this ship, these slave ships, they were sailors on these ships. So some of the sailors that came back to Anamabo told John Corinthian that they saw William Cicero, enslaved in Barbados. So he contacted, you know, the English that used to trade with them and told them if they don't bring his son back, he was going to disrupt the whole trade that they had going. So they found a way. They brought him. They took him from Barbados to England, and those outfits you see on the thumbnail is actually real. That's how they dressed him as royalty, because he even attended one of Shakespeare's plays. They call it the Oronco. It was written by a prince who was kidnapped, from taken to Suriname. And so the story was kind of similar to his own real life story. That was a made up fictional story, but it fits his real life story. So all these people, they were actual slave traded. They traded slaves themselves. Their families became wealthy off of it. The only difference is the things that they traded for. Obviously, it was all based in consumption. This is why you're not able to see the wealth that they accumulated from it. They were mostly trading for alcohol, umbrellas, mirrors, and stuff like that. So that's why I'm about to show you an example of a slave house with all these products, what the Africans themselves used to trade with. So this is why when I hear some of these people talking about Pan-Africanism, right? And even when I hear some of the things they say, even about present day Africa, because it's convenient for people who are from this region to just completely, ignore and erase that out of the history and cut that out, and then talk about, oh, we were in Egypt, we built Egypt, or they talk about Mansa Musa, for example. In today's terms, Mansa Musa would literally be the equivalent of a retard, because here's why. I'm going to explain. They said he was the richest man, right? He had gold. He had lots and lots of slaves too. On his way to go to Mecca for pilgrimage, he brought so much gold. When he got to Egypt, Cairo, he gave them like he was giving out gold to a point. He inflated their economy. But guess what? On his way back, they followed him, because at the time, the world didn't know about what they had. That eventually led to his downfall. He didn't use the gold to give to his people. So this is why even today, have you ever heard anyone say, "Oh, we're gonna use the Mansa Musa plan, his economic plan," because there wasn't any. There wasn't any. I just wanted to throw that out there so that people that talk about this, you understand the difference between fiction and reality. Yeah, we can't go back and change what has already happened. This is just what the facts are. You know, there is no such thing as it was all Africans that participated in this. It's not possible, because it was Africans that were sold. Other few elite Africans sold them. Nobody's going to like sell themselves into slavery. So even these two people that I showed you, they themselves being slave traders, you know, ended up in slavery, but they were able to free themselves because of their status. But how many other people, because this was normal where the slave traders themselves would end up becoming slaves, they would be captured. So that's why I tell people you gotta dig up the history and know what you're talking about, because it's like a crack dealer. Some, you know, are you surprised that some crack dealers end up getting shot or they go to prison? No, they become victim to the trade that they were in. But the kingpins, nothing generally seems to happen to them, you know? So it's the same thing. But now I don't want to keep you waiting. I'm going to show you a video. It's sort of like a documentary, because I wanted to give you guys a real picture of what these people in those days were trading humans for. I want you to see it for yourself. It's from a location in Nigeria, along the coast called Badagry. Um, they were really big on slave trade there as well. In fact, they had markets. I'm talking, literally markets where you could go there and buy human beings. They used to have that. You could just go, on your own and buy it. Mind you, this slavery, it wasn't every slave was, for just the Europeans. There were other Africans also who were buying slaves for their own use. So when people say, "Oh, oh," when they start talking about, "Oh, the African slavery was better," what do you mean the African slavery was better? How can slavery of any kind by anybody be better? I mean, your rights would be taken away. The person owned you. Any kind of slavery is bad, plain and simple. But I'm about to play this video. But before I get into that, I want to make sure I put the warning, to show that it is fair use and it's at the same time the Pan-Africanist church music. Give me a second here. This is going to blow your mind. All right. So I'm about to show you a short video here. And as you know, I have to stop in between and, analyze it, because you have to do that if you're using somebody else's clips. So that's why mostly the analysis, I have to do that. You can't just play it straight up. So here we go. This is from a former slave port in a place called Badagry in Nigeria. So many a time, some of these names that you hear, they would say, like I see here, Queen Nzinga. All those people they are from slave trading places, and they in fact sold slaves. Queen Nzinga is not even from the Benin, like most of you think. She's from present day Angola. So people confuse these things. They don't understand, So different parts of on the coast there, they did their slavery differently. Like when you go to the Congo area, it was different, depending on what they accept for trading in versus, because you have to remember, mostly just like today, I hate to tell you, people who are not going to like this, like African nations, mostly, they don't produce things that the world needs. Everything is just raw material. things that, happen to occur naturally. They're just there, and God made it happen. But before the diamonds and all that, before all that, hey, it was human beings. They sold human beings, and some still do that. And some of these cultures, even today, I remember just a few years back when I was in Gambia. I don't know if they still do this, but it was normal for some of these people to give away their child. You know, you would see one man, mostly the fullers, they would do this. They call these kids almudos. So he's supposed to be their grand supreme teacher. So he would have so many kids. Okay. Mind you, that was a practice from hundreds of years ago. They used to sell those kids as slaves. But in today's day, at the time, they would have these children. They would say, oh, we're teaching these children about, the Quran, whatsoever. But the teacher would send the kids into town to go be beggars. They are begging for their quote unquote grand teacher. So everything they collect from begging, they bring it back to him and give it to him. So in most of these cultures, unfortunately, the mindset is set up that way. Like for some reason, they have no problem giving away their children. That's just the truth. So when people try to, mask these things and, gaslight people, it blows my mind, and when you talk about what the facts are, they said, oh, you are the enemy, but you can't be the enemy, if you're waking the people up to the reality. If you want people to see what actually happened, it's up to you what you do with the information, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to present it. So kick back and see the products. This was commonplace, especially in that Badagry area, like I said. As you go further south towards the, I call it the yam section of Africa, like Ghana, Benin, Nigeria, those areas, the slavery was, like they were really into the trinkets. Like they were selling a lot of people from there. But here we go.
Guys, this is heavy, man. And this is what they wear on their neck. All true?
Yes.
When I was younger, I used to hear stories about how foreign ships used to come down to the coast of Nigeria and take a lot of us away as slaves, like in millions, to go and work for them overseas under very inhumane conditions. Off the coast of Lagos is a place called Badagry, and this place holds a significant history in the slave trade era. So I want you guys to come along with me, and let's see what happens in Badagry. I have long legs.
So yes, please share this video to especially the people, quote unquote, that say they're Indians. And I don't know if you say you are Indian, but you come into black people to try to, convince black people of your Indian heritage. That blows my mind. But I've heard some of these people say, oh, there's no proof that, Africans, blacks in America are from Africa. Slavery never happened. Please send this to them so they can see for themselves that they are being ridiculous. This did in fact happen, and we have proofs.
Badagry is a place where many slaves were kept, and it's also a place that tells the story of how the slave trade started. It was one of the major routes for the transatlantic slave trade. I don't really know a lot about the slave trade, so I decided to go down here and meet up with somebody whose grandparents were alive during the era of the slave trade to tell me the story about how slave trade started in Nigeria.
How far now? How are you doing?
I'm cool.
Yeah.
Tayo, right?
Yeah, Tayo.
The compound that we are is known as Brazilian barracoon. And barracoon is a Portuguese word meaning slave cell or storehouse where the slave were being stored. And The compound right now, we have to talk about 40 rooms in this compound.
Okay, so this is where they kept slaves?
Yes, in the olden days. And that is to say, each room contained 40 slaves. So this is called cowrie shell, as you see.
Okay.
So those are the kind of currency our forefathers used then.
Yeah, this is what they used to use.
Yeah.
So along the coast there, they used to, cowrie shells was one of the currencies that the, Africans there, they used it as, their currency to exchange, but obviously the Europeans did not, accept that currency as exchange, because what are they going to do with it? The Europeans had their own standard. So that's why they did the barter system, product for human.
As means of exchange.
Yeah, but when they came, them say they can do business with our father with this kind of money. Right on the wall, these were some of the European products that were used in exchange for the slave when they arrived. Like if the European give you one umbrella, you give them 40 human beings as a slave.
Did you guys hear that? So one umbrella for 40 human beings. I remember I said this to in a platform before. The people were outraged. They are like, how, that's a lie. So they are really, using their own emotion and present day logic. And I don't know why. Like, you are not those people. I'm not those people. But this is how these people traded. Those chiefs. That's why you saw, like, on those Ghanaian chiefs, they apologized for slavery. Think about it. They were trading humans. 40 human beings, 40 grown men for one umbrella. You see, because they did not produce anything. They didn't make stuff there. So that's why when I hear some of these people say, oh yeah, the Africans invented math. They had, they invented math. They invented the first car. I'm like, which Africans are you talking about? Now you're seeing it for yourself here. If you got to sell 40 people for an umbrella, shoot, I don't know what kind of economics that is. That's pretty crazy.
Okay. Is this one of the rooms that
this is
40 people?
Yes, yeah.
40 people?
40, yeah, 40.
Inside here?
Yeah, and we have 40 rooms in the compound.
Wow.
This one is called covling yoke. They use it to join two slaves together. They put this at the ankle or the
Okay, to join two slaves together by the leg.
Now, look at that small window tile. Can you see that small window there?
Yeah.
And that's what we provided the ventilation. Imagine 40 able human beings in there for 3 to 4 months.
40 human beings inside here.
Imagine the odor, the heat. Imagine how many human beings, because they will have died here. That is.
So some people's logic to say, okay, if they would say to you, oh, if the Africans, they didn't kidnap the Africans, then where's the wealth? Well, if you're trading 40 human beings for an umbrella, I mean, seriously, like, what umbrella? Really? What are you going to get from that umbrella? You see what I'm saying? The chief just want to show off, it's just, so I'm just telling you how a few people, so the setup in Africa is still, it hasn't changed much. This is why you see, like, when people say Mansa Musa is just like present day, like, let's say Mobutu Sese Seko, who, like, Congo, they say they have all that wealth, but one man had billions, but the rest of the people are suffering. They are slaves, pretty much, and that's just what the facts show. So 40 people for one umbrella, it would be hard for you to, show any wealth. Or 10 people for whiskey, you're going to drink that whiskey. There's nothing you can make out of that. I mean, I'm not making this up. You're seeing this. This is a museum. Literally, this is a museum that you're seeing for yourself. And this museum is not in European countries. This is the Africans, version where they kept the people before they exchanged them with the Europeans. That's why it was called a trade. So some of you that come running talking, they kidnapped us. Yes, some people were kidnapped, but not by the Europeans. I mean, I would say pretty much, I would assume all the people they sold, they probably kidnapped them, because they didn't just willingly say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be a slave." That's not the case. In fact, in some of these histories, the readings, like for instance, let's say places like Ghana, you can see, because the Fantis were educated at Allion. I told you they had their, some of the elites, they had their children in European schools, so they're able to write. Like there are certain ethnic groups, like they would say, oh, like the Dagomba, there's a tribe there, Dagomba Ga. They were selling those people mostly into slavery, and you heard stories about where people would people would kill, like they would commit suicide, for instance, right? If they bring them out from the bottom of the ship to make them dance to stay healthy, they would jump into the sea. Especially these tribes that are not familiar with the Europeans, they would think the people are actually, trying, they thought the Europeans were gonna eat them. But some of the tribes that live on the coast, they were familiar with it. They thought actually they're just going to be slave for a short period of time and they'll be back. But obviously we know the story, that never happened.
And when people come there, tell them you are not here to cash fund, but just to feel the pain the people of the past have felt, and those are the items that.
Oh, St. James. No, yes, St. James, when people also, committed crimes, when they committed crimes, they, and they were convicted, they would sell them into slavery. Yes, this is correct. Like, if you steal, if you're a thief, you get caught, they sell you. So any type of crime, you get caught, you get sold into slavery as well.
I show you on the wall. Each go for 10 slaves. These are 50 human beings. Look at your back there. This bottle, if you look closely at the body, you see 1873. Be customized on the body. Yeah, that's 10 human beings standing. So,
guys, can you imagine the conditions that the slaves had to live in? 40 people in a room that is not even enough for one person. 40 people had to stay inside that room. I can't even begin to imagine how most of them would have felt.
So these are the canon.
Okay.
100, that's 200 slaves.
For this canons,
yeah. European give you the long one.
Yeah, African, Caribbean. Yeah, you're right. I mean, yes, there were also, like if you're a criminal, for sure, they sold off criminals into slavery as well. It was a form of punishment as well.
The 100 human being, another 100. That's
wow. This is the chains they use for the slaves.
You can see, that's why I say you can see how.
So they put it, yeah, let me try it.
Okay, so just tell the people how you feel.
Wow, this is heavy, man. Fuck, this is heavy. Ouch. It's even drawing my neck.
You?
Guys, this is heavy, man. And this is what they wear on their neck, all true?
Yes, it should be in a single file, in a straight row. This is another neck. It could have been like 100 of them.
Wow, man, guys, this is very heavy. And they wear this all day, every time.
Yeah, while they're taking it away.
And it's even, this thing at the back is so not comfortable.
Yeah. And that's their drinking pot here.
Oh, this is where they drink from.
They don't allow them to use cup, but they tie the hand at the back, they drink water this way.
Wow. So everybody goes in.
Imagine why the water gets below, while struggling, the head can still injure the slave.
Wow. Just putting the chain on my neck, those chains were so heavy and it was hurting my neck, as you can see in the video. And these people had to go through all of this and they had no choice. Separated from their families, separated from everybody that they knew, and sold. As you can imagine how these people were treated. So now we're going to the point of no return, and for us to do that we have to cross over this lagoon here and get to the other side. That's where we see the point of no return. Point of no return is a point where once slaves get to, they can't come back anymore.
Badagry was founded around 1425. Okay. By a man called Agbede.
Agbede. Okay.
Yeah. And agbede means blacks meat in Yorubas. The slave ship, which is called cargo ship,
Okay.
will be awaiting the slave
On the other side.
at the other side of the
That's
beach.
at the Atlantic Ocean.
Ocean, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, African Caribbean diaspora, you're absolutely right. That's the thing. They were very much aware of the chiefs that was selling human beings. Yes, they were very aware what awaits the people they are selling into slaves. They knew like these people are going to be gone forever. They're not coming back. This is why they sell off the, if you commit a crime, they sell them off. So the pattern is pretty much still the same with the African leadership. So that's why when I see some of these people say the Pan-Africanism or try to, water down, the actual chiefs, the traders, people think, oh no, they just came and kidnapped the people. But now you're seeing the chiefs on the coast in Badagry, they have their own building. They have their buildings where they kept people in for the ships to come. So it was very much organized. It's not like an innocent thing where like people try to play these games to say, oh, these people were innocent whatsoever. No, they knew what they were doing. They wanted their umbrellas, they wanted their whiskey, they wanted their rum, their mirrors, all kinds of trinkets. These are all just trinkets. These were not smart people, by the way. Because if you're going to exchange 40 humans for an umbrella, I mean, so when last time I heard two people arguing, and one of the guys said, look, don't you think us today, present day, was smarter than most of those people back in those days? And the person got offended. Oh, how dare you say that about my ancestors, blah blah blah. Dude, your ancestors sold 40 humans for an umbrella. Do you understand how ridiculous that sounds? Imagine 10 grown men. 10 grown men for a bottle of whiskey, people. 10 grown men. I mean, how are you going to say those people are smart? Or they tell you, oh, Mansa Musa was rich. Oh, he went and, okay, he's rich, but his people, he kept them as slaves and he gave away, the gold. He gave away the wealth. How can you say those people are smart? That doesn't make any sense. But this is what people talk about. And when somebody like me come and talk sense, oh, you're a self-hater. No, I'm just calling things as they are, as they are. I'm not, passing any judgments, but I'm seeing exactly that this was terrible. So when people are talking, oh, it was the Europeans that decimated all this place. No. Like Mansa Musa had nothing to do with Europeans. He had the wealth, but where's the wealth now? Or those other kingdoms, or these Africans that were selling 40 humans for an umbrella. But when people talk about it, they this wicked white man. But what about the person that sold them? It wasn't even one for one. In fact, it's almost like a Thanksgiving sale. If you buy 100 slaves, they give you 2 kids on top of it. Can you believe that? It's like a red tape sale. Hey, you know what? It is Memorial Day sale today. You buy 100 Negroes, I give you 2 kids on top of it. They used to do all that for free.
They will come in, get to the town, get the number of slaves that they want.
Okay.
After getting the slaves, they will now walk them in a single file.
Down to the beach.
They'll be in a straight roll.
Wow.
And that heavy chain will be on their necks.
Most times when they talk about the slave trade,
Okay.
it's always looking like, okay, it's just only the Europeans that were selling slaves. But it kind of seems like we Nigerians were also selling ourselves as slaves.
Very, very correct. Like me that I'm standing with you.
Yeah.
My forefathers were not slave traders, but we own slaves.
Did you guys hear that? And yeah, you know what? Audrey just wrote something here, which is true. In fact, I read this. I read this. Did you guys know in 1833 when the British said they slavery, they abolish it, they want to patrol the sea to stop the slave ships? Do you know there were like, some of the wars they had with some of those tribes, it stemmed from that. They literally took up arms. One day, I'm not going to name the tribes that did this because I learned my lesson. On Facebook, I did a video years ago and I named, this tribe, who they took up arms to fight the white people for trying to stop slavery. Man, when I named the tribe, these people, they came out of the woodwork. They attacked me for days, for weeks. They wouldn't, these people, I'm like, okay, so now you guys just want us to kind of sweep these things under the rug, and they would say African to try to, dirty up all of us, because there is people from certain groups whose ancestors were selling people. So that's why when somebody always say African, I'm very suspicious of. I'm like, did your great grandfathers, did they sell humans? Like, what is going on here? Why do you want to dirty up all of us with this? Let's just tell the story as it is. Like nobody's trying to convict you of anything. You didn't do anything, but let's tell the story as it is, because everybody else is given the benefit of the doubt. If the Chinese history, you're telling they say China, you don't say, oh, the Asians or the Japan. You tell Japan's story by who did it, the samurais or whoever. But now, when they want to talk about slavery, now all of a sudden it's all of us. All of us. You see a Kenyan, you accuse the Kenyan. The Kenyan is like, damn, we're from the East. Like, what do you mean? Oh no, y'all Africans sold all of us. And then the people who are from this region, they know something, but they're not gonna tell you the true story. They just say, we all did it. We all. What do you mean we all did it? I mean, I never inherited any mirror or umbrellas from anyone. So that tells me we didn't participate in this.
You serious?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
You understand? How do we own our slave? If you have the money, then
Yeah.
you can move down to the market
Yeah.
and buy your slaves. In
Okay.
the market, you buy slaves. From the
Wow.
market.
So they used to sell slaves like food.
Something
like
like
going
that.
to Mr.
You
Biggs.
see, this is what
Did you guys hear this? I didn't make this up. You guys heard the man. They had market like a Walmart, like Walmart slave, Walmart, you could go there and pick out your slave as long as you got your cowries ready, you pay for it and get your own slave. They had a franchise. They were selling people there. I'm not making this up, people.
really happened. It's of two sides of it.
Okay.
In some part of Congo, even part of Nigeria,
Yeah.
there's some places that they invaded.
Okay.
And they
Now, Miko, 8 people for an umbrella, that's, short changing. It's 40. You're short changing them by 32. 40 human beings for one umbrella. That's what the going rate was.
took the people away forcefully as a slave.
Okay.
But in some part of it, there's some part where by the Africans, locals or the chiefs, the warrior, they are also their facilitator. They sell their own people. Because when they came, okay, they, we fought war then.
Okay.
Man you want to dominate your domain, your kingdom.
Okay.
You understand? That ego is within us.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So, like now, if your village and my village had a fight,
Yeah.
eventually, if you won the fight, you take the people away as a slave to your own town.
To your own town,
And
just
they'll
like
be
yeah.
working here, you understand?
Just
And
like they do in war and
war,
yeah.
the victim of war, you
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
So they'll be working for you.
Yeah.
But when the Europeans came, they made the trade on ground.
Oh, they made the slave trade. So the slave trade
Yes.
was already happening when they.
Did you guys hear what the man said? This man is very well versed in history. You guys remember, I kept telling you guys, slavery was already there, matured. The market was there 500 years old, 1,000 years prior to the Europeans, because they were trading with the Arabs. Prior the Arabs, they would do 40 humans for one Arabian horse. That was the going rate. Since the Arabs, they didn't, the Arabs that, they were not like Europeans. They didn't invent things either. Like they didn't have the trinkets, but they had horses. So they would trade for horses and, guns that they get from the Europeans at the time, because the Arabs were the ones that had contact with the Europeans. So the Europeans didn't know, about, this region at the time until the Portuguese sailed over there in 1438. Then they cut the Arabs out of the equation, and they introduced, liquor, and the people loved it out there, especially, like I said, in the yam section of Africa. They loved it. You walk your way, down the coast all the way to, to Congo area. Like somebody was trying to argue with me last week saying, oh, King Alfonso wrote a letter. This is true. But prior to King Alfonso writing that letter, he participated in slavery. He allowed it. He himself received gifts until he became a Christian. And he was worried that his kingdom is being depopulated because they've taken so many people, to a point he had to write a letter. He said, I thought we were brothers. No, King Alfonso, that's not how it worked. Yes, it's true. King Alfonso did write a letter, but prior to that, he allowed, not only did he allow it, he participated, just like Queen Zinger over there in present-day Angola. All those kingdoms, first they participated, but then they wanted to stop, and it was hard, it was hard. Like the people, the Portuguese are like, nah, man, you're not about to stop our trade here. This is not gonna stop. But they did shake hand with the devil first.
Before they arrived here.
Wow.
So they met the trade on ground.
Okay.
We've been enslaving ourselves before they arrive Africa. We betrayed ourselves, which is still happening up to date.
Up to today, yeah. That's where I'm going to with this, yeah.
So if you check record, go and check record, or quote me.
Yeah.
Most of the slave facilitators, their children were the ones still ruling in Africa up to date. Yeah. So you see the same system going on up till date. The blames are on both sides, the European and the Africans. Facilitators, you understand?
Yeah.
As a child, when I was growing up, the story my own forefather, my grandfather, my father used to tell me then about who we are on the surface of Earth, I realized that we are very, very powerful. We can disappear. You can tell the ground to open, it will open.
That's Africans, right?
Africa, yes.
Yeah.
How comes the European comes around and force
us to do what we didn't want to do?
I used to have asked these questions. You would see people with their juju amulets. They say, I can disappear. I used to always ask questions. Okay, if these people were juju, your juju is so powerful, how did the Europeans, conquer you? They say, oh, it didn't work on the Europeans. So it didn't make sense. Let's see here. We have a sensitive one here. Said, who is we? Stop your lies. Gambians are Muslims, so participated in slavery. So, dude, why don't you go look at the record when, Gambians became Muslim? As late as 1901, there was literally a jihadi war there. Not many people were Muslims. Just FYI, But yeah, my tribe they've been in Islam, they've been Muslims for 900 years. We have the records for 900 years since Islam was super young, but it's not all of them.
Yeah.
Later, I now realized that we sold
Ourselves.
into slavery. They know that we are very, very powerful. They know who we are. You
But
understand?
it seems we don't know we are. We don't know the power that we have.
We know that we are very powerful. Out of 12 disciples, there will always be a Judas.
We are Judas.
You understand? Somebody must betray one person.
See, like Audrey is thinking, I'm exonerating. Yeah, you're right about that. They had they were selling people for salt. You're right about that. They were trading with the Arabs. But again, that's what I'm trying to say here. It wasn't like the whole population, as you hear here. The chiefs and certain powerful people were the only ones that were able to do that. Yes, they were trading people not just for mirror, but for bags of salt. For bags of salt. They were doing that as well. So it's not like the regular, just the regular Joe Blow. These are quote unquote the elites. Okay? The elites. So Audrey wants to make this a competition. I don't know if her ancestors were dipping in this liquor or the mirrors, but we'll find out as time goes on.
You understand? Slave spirit at to a nation
Well.
Let's say the water. To buttress. Now, who dug this well? That's the question. This well was dug by the African chiefs. Why do they have to do the well? Good. Now, the movement of Africans to America through that, it's known as Middle Passage. They call it Middle Passage. And the name of the slave ship is called cargo ship, which could take like 600, 700. It was the Portuguese that started the trade.
Yeah.
Most of the slaves moved from Africa then, they stood into Lisbon.
Okay.
Lisbon is a very big slave market in Portugal then.
Yeah.
Where everybody get their slave. Then later, along the line, the English joined. And the name of the first slave ship is being Jesus of Lubeck.
Yeah. So you guys see, like some people denied about the slave ship Jesus existing, but it did. And Malik Rashad, you ask a great question. How will this system be removed? That's what I'm saying. This is why I have to give it exactly how it happened. So, because you see, when people are in denial, they don't tend to, want to change. Because the Europeans, they fought this physically. They went to war and fought about this and fight their people to be against it. So you have to change the people's minds. The Africans on the that even participated in this, they've never, mind you, they've never just fought and say, oh, we're not going to do the slavery. It was the Europeans that stopped it. Okay? It was the Europeans that stopped it. So who knows if they today just say, hey, we want to open up slavery. Who knows if the market would be available again? I won't be surprised if it is, because I'm going to do another show, which is a present day slavery. They are taking the people to the Middle East. This is going on as we speak. And guess who is running that too? It is other Africans that are running it. So today you don't have to kidnap the people. You don't have to do it through war, but you just trick them and say, I'm taking you to go give you jobs. They are trading humans through Instagram. Through Instagram. This is still going on. They take them to these Arab countries. They take their passports from them. I'm going to bring that story too, so that you guys can see it. For most, the mindset haven't changed. For some reason, it hasn't changed. So this is why I bring the facts here, so that people, it's not about, making somebody happy or not, but it is about education. So people can open their eyes and see how silly this is. How can Africa gain anything if this is how they trade? 40 human beings for umbrella, 10 of them for whiskey, 40 for mirror. You sell some for, salt. That's what was going on. I mean, I'm not going to judge these people, but I just know, like, their economic plan was really, really bad. Was very bad.
Who shipped Jesus, owned by King Henry VIII of England then. But later Queen Elizabeth rented it out to one of the slave party called John Hawkins. And they started taking Africans away as a slave to work for them. And most of the town in America, even though the White House underground was built by
black people.
Now, on the slave ship, we could have like 600, 7, 3, 200. It depends the size of the slave ship. And the crew that were taking the slave away, they are no more than probably 25 to 30 people. They were taking like 600 or 300 slaves away. So most often, while taking it away, if the slaves spotted the land and it's aggravated them, you understand, or they have any opportunity, they'll kill all the crew on board. They will not add the sailor to sail down to any available land. They will not occupy. The only person they will not kill them is the sailor. They will ask the sailor to sail back to any available. I think that's what happened in Guadeloupe and some part, most of the Caribbeans. Those
okay.
Haiti, Bahama,
all those places, yeah.
So now the African chiefs came up with idea. What can they do so that the slave will be less aggressive? That's where they have to do the well.
So you guys hear this, right? So this well is like a spiritual well where they erase, when they drink from it, it erases their memory. So it's like some dark African magic stuff. So it was the African chiefs that came up with it because they want to make sure these people cannot attack the ship, the Europeans in the ships and kill them off, because sometimes that did happen where the slaves would fight and take some of the ships. It's happened. They even made a movie about one, La Amistad. It's a movie, but you can even find the records. It's an actual thing that happened.
Once the slave walk in a single file without heavy chain, the stopover will be here. They'll give them the water to drink. When they consume the water, we are told that they will lose their memory.
Wow, it will wipe their memory?
But it's not for life, for 3 to 4 months. It will weaken them, not really that you wipe, when we wipe their memory, why are they taking them as they they can't.
Sure, they can't do anything. Wow.
So it will weaken them for 3 to 4 months. By then they will have sailed down to Europe or America. They will not regain their strength or
back.
memories back.
Wow.
So government call it slave attenuation, some call it memory loss well. But ironically, some say the water is still effective. Some say it's not effective.
So if I drink this water now, I'll forget my memory for the next 4 months.
So 4 months to 4 months. But some say the power is still there. Some say it's still effective. Some say it's not effective. But we don't know how true this is because we never see a single source. Okay, let me
try it.
And see if I'm gonna.
So this is like a spiritual water. Yes, Jamie, spiritual cleansing. Like it would apparently, it's the juju well where they would give it to the people that they are selling into slavery to wipe off their memory for 3-4 months, so they don't remember, who they are, where they're coming from, until the ship sails off to the destination where the plantation is. So it was a lot that went into it, people. Okay. Yeah, they make them forget, and then regain their memory back, 4 months later.
Although sometimes you see some tourists say they will take it, but when we get here, you know that the water is dirty.
Dirty, yeah.
Discourage them.
Yeah.
So that's the way. Then after giving them the water, they will now move them to the point of no
return. But this well was dug by Africans.
Chiefs, yeah.
The chiefs.
Yeah. Even in Benin.
They also have one too. Okay.
Their own their own is a tree. Like this. We call it tree of memory loss. The women will go around the tree 7 times, the men 9 times, and we are told that they will lose their memory.
Wow. This is the point of no return that I was telling you guys about. By the time the slaves get here, this is where they board the ships that take them all the way to Europe and all those other countries where they are being sold.
The monument that used to be here, is this 2 straight pole here. This
one yeah.
There used to be an object on top there.
Okay.
That the object symbolize human being, and there's a chain that connects them. We call it Ark of the Pack Shop.
Ark of
the
departure.
Paxo. So when they move them, they'll pass under the Ark of departure. This is the bottom of the slave ship.
Yeah.
One slave head here. The next one that we follow
Is on the
will
head,
be
the
here.
leg, yeah, leg,
here.
head, yeah.
The reason that they don't want the means of communication within them.
Oh,
that's why.
wow.
So another deck. The state government came up with beautiful idea. I used to call it beautiful idea.
Okay.
That they should build another monument in conjunction with the Ark of the Paxo, and that's why they have to control this tunnel.
Oh,
that when
okay.
tourists comes here, you go in. Probably there's going to be some artwork, pictures
inside. Yeah.
You go in as if you are going to Europe or America. Then
yeah.
You come back to Africa.
Africa. Oh, so that's how it goes.
Door of return. Instead of no more point of no
return.
But this project that you are seeing here is getting more than probably getting to 10 years now.
10 years.
Believe me honestly. So we don't know where they're going to
complete it. Wow. It's very troubling to listen to and see all of the things people have been through. And when you get to this place, it's not being preserved. This part of Nigeria's history is not being preserved as it should be. The memory loss well that the African chiefs built is also not being preserved. The monument at the point of no return is practically falling apart. It has been under construction for over 10 years. That's a very long time. I believe that history plays a very important role in the development of a country. If you don't know where you're coming from, how do you know where you're going? If you make mistakes and you don't learn from them, how do we know how to move forward into the future? How do we know how to build the future if we're not keeping records of all the things that have happened in the past? I believe that within a couple years, if these places are not being preserved properly, we would have no history. One of the reasons I'm doing this video is to shine a light on the story of the slave trade in Nigeria. Secondly, is to showcase Badagry as one of the most important parts in Nigeria's slave history. I believe Badagry should be preserved not just for ourselves, but also for the people who are coming after us. They also need to know about where they're coming from. They also need to know their history. It was very mind-blowing going back in time to learn about how slave trade was started in Nigeria. That's all I have to share with you. If you like this video, please hit the
That was a great, great short documentary. So guys, you've seen it yourself. So mostly the things, I would say pretty much everything I talk about, I make sure I do thorough investigation and bring you the facts. This is why, when I hear some of these people, they come up with stories, these stories, they don't make any sense, because you could see, like last time I said it before, I said, yeah, over there in Nigeria, they, present day Nigeria, some of these places close to the coast, they had slave market, and people are like, oh, you're picking on the, you're picking on the Nigerians. But this is not just in that territory, present day Nigeria, not only there. In Anamabo, in Ghana, at the height, of the slavery there, they shipped over 700,000 people that came through there. And who benefit, there are people that benefited from it. So this is why the story had to be told exactly as it happened, because what people like to do is, oh, it didn't happen that way. It is all Africans. But no. Or they would say, oh, it is the Europeans. But then when you start asking questions, how did the Europeans get the people? How did they get the people? Oh, they kidnapped them. Oh, you want to tell me few Europeans, they just showed up with their ships, hopped out of the ship and started chasing people and putting them in chains? Mind you, it was just a couple of them. They sail in the ship, they bring their mirrors, the umbrellas, in fact, there was a huge market. There was a huge market for rum, in what is it called? Rhode Island. They used to have a little company, they call them the rum runners. Specifically, they were making the rum, all that rum, guess where it was going? To the Gold Coast. To the Gold Coast. In fact, let me bring you another short little documentary and show you, you would see the rum bottles from back in those days. They still have them. Bear with me here. Give me a second. Give me 1 second here. Just 1 second. Let me, bring this so you see for yourself that this is no joke. Back in those days, those people they weren't it. Let's see.
Started around 1445 by a man called Prince Henry, the navigator of Portugal. And the trade ended in Africa in the 1870. That will give you 400 years in slavery. First one here. It was made of iron, cane, bronze, and silk. They prefer to do a trade known as trade by barter. And trade by barter simply means exchange good for good. Like now, we have 40 rooms in the compound and 40 slaves in each of the rooms. But the government met with the family that they should return to sell the way it were. They now gather most of the relics and some of the items they used on slave and kept that people all over the world comes around here to view. But when the European came to Africa,
Someone is saying, oh, there were instances Europeans kidnapped people. I'm pretty sure it happened, but of all the millions of people who were sent away, who were traded, do you want to tell me how many of those people were actually kidnapped by the Europeans? Who, by the way, it wasn't many of them that came. Because, mind you, it was just a ship crew coming to like an entire territory with chiefs and their guards and everything. So how many people could they possibly have kidnapped, And if you look at where they're getting most of this, the people they enslaved, unless they committed a crime in those coastal towns and they got sold off as criminals, other than that, most of these people are captured from their towns and villages getting raided by these other tribes.
we Africans, we have our own currency, the kind of money that we use for transaction, buying and selling them. But the Europeans refused to accept those kind of money from our forefathers. And they now said they prefer to do a trade known as trade by barter. And trade by barter simply means exchange good for good. Like now, but when they came, let me quickly mention 4 types of money that we use in the olden days. In the olden days, they used tobacco. Tobacco were used to produce cigarettes in those days, but we use it as a form of money. There's what you call yala salt. It's a white precious stone. There's what you call Manila. If you look at our 100 and the Water Carolus logo.
See, Audrey, you wanted to talk down on the salt. They were trading this in Nigeria as well. I'm telling you, all these other places, mind you, it was the same group of people that were trading in one port. They move along all those ports. It's the same merchants. So they're using the same type of products, but just when they got to Badagry, they loved the umbrellas there. So that's what you see here.
You notice a green star. In the middle side, there's a ring. Then if you turn it around, you see 2 at the below of the 100 naira. We call it Manila. Portuguese use Manila as a form of money in the olden days, and our forefathers to use Manila. Then the last one is called cowrie shell. Let me show you the cowrie. Yorubas call it Owoeyo. And as you can see, these are some of the currency. And you can find these beneath the sea. So Owoeyo. So, but the Europeans now refuse to accept this as in form of money. They say they cannot do business with them with this, that they should do a trade known as trade by barter. And trade by barter simply means exchange good for goods. And these were some of the European products that were used in exchange for the slave in the olden days. Like in the olden days, if the European give our forefather one umbrella, they collect 40 human beings as a slave. And up to date, we still have the surviving umbrella for 40 slaves inside the museum. I will show you. Now, then we are told that when they came with 3 of these umbrella. The one is here. Then when you get to Benin Kingdom, in Jaja of Bobo Kingdom, you still see one umbrella. But the third one, we don't know whereabout of the third umbrella. But we have the first one here. It was made of iron, cane, bronze, and silk. Now, if the European give them a bottle of whiskey, they collect 10 human beings as a slave for a bottle. Then we have a bottle of 18.
You guys see, I just wanted you guys to see for yourself that I'm not making this up. Like some of you were laughing, you thought I was joking. These are the actual products, that are in a museum. This is, the bottle of liquors. 1 whiskey bottle for 10 people. Yeah, and you better be lucky, man, if the chief is not too, looking to throw a party. He's, 100 of you are going because he need that liquor.
73 from Vienna, Austria, inside the museum. I will show you guys later. These are called cannon gun. The long cannon go for 100, the short one 40. It was made of iron. If the European give our forefather a Dane gun, they collect 40 human beings. Now we Africans or black man, what will you do with the Dane gun and the cannon? We use it to fight ourselves, so to get more slaves to set European. I used to tell people that comes that we are the one that sold ourselves into slavery. A ceramic bowl, we call it breakable plate in the house. The European will give you 1 plate and they collect 10 human beings as a slave. And we have 5 for such places at the museum. I'm going to show you guys later. Mirror and
no, really, people. Really, I mean, I'm not trying to be funny or mean, but people, people that keep saying we built the pyramid, you guys really need to stop for real. Like, I understand now why you people just like to ignore this part of the history. I mean, it's a big L. I get it, but you can't run away from this. How can a group of people that cannot even create their own bowl or mirror or even own liquor build a pyramid? It's just a question. I'm just asking. I'm not trying to be rude whatsoever, against anyone, but facts are facts. Maybe if you have ambition to build a pyramid, maybe this should motivate you and start working on it. But you see, when you skip this part of the history and try to talk about, because the pyramids were built before the Atlantic slave trade. So if you had the skill to build the pyramid, I think you would have the skill to make your own bowl and mirrors. Just saying.
The beads, it depends your we call bargain power. You can say 2 slaves, I can say 3, she can say 7. It depends how you can bargain and negotiate with European for mirror and the bead. When the man that owned the compound became the Seriki Muslim of Badagry Kingdom, the bradis was given to him by the Brazilian, and the kettle was given to him by the Europeans. Now, so I had to run about around you there. You see this statue standing at the runabout. He founded the time in 1902 for the replacement of Egbado, victim of war then. And the name that Spanish gave to him was Ifare Milekun. Today, outcomes we call him Seriki Williams Abbas. Abbas was the first master, but he later resold into a white man called Williams, who took him down to Brazil. The white man taught him how to read and write, but later gave him freedom and built this compound in 1840. In 1895, he became the Seriki Musulumi of Badagry Kingdom. Because slaves bear their master's name, that is why we call him Seriki Williams Abba. The name of the first one, the second one, the title that he had, his own birth's name, Ifare Milekun, disappeared because they have no name. They bear their master's name. And that era, we have 2 categories of slaves. We have
no, Cute for Life. This slave house hasn't been hidden. It's always been there. But again, if imagine people are caught up, in all these shenanigans, talking about, they built the pyramid, they built this and that, obviously they're not going to want to see this because this is going to debunk everything they're saying, because you're seeing Like, how are you going to say, oh, I built the pyramid, but yet, few, hundreds and hundreds of years later, you are trading 40 human beings for an umbrella, or 10 grown men for whiskey, for a bottle of whiskey. Like, you can't justify it. So this is why they skip all that and talk about Mansa Musa. And like I said, Mansa Musa, if you go read and see what people brag about, in today's terms, he's a retard at best. Because who goes and flaunt their money? Like, even today, you got money, you go out there flaunting it, you're getting shot. So you went giving away your gold, and the people trailed you back to where you came from, back to your house to go attack you. So you can't brag about these things. So this part of the history, people just skip it because they just want to, make themselves feel good. And I don't know why. I mean, it's already happened. Like, it's not a diss on you, it's just to know what actually happened, so that you can become smarter. You don't repeat it again. But people are in denial constantly, especially the Pan Africanists. And like, when they talk about Africa, I'm like, what? What are these people talking about? I even heard one talking about, oh no, over here in Gambia, it's not poor. Because it was pillaged by the white man and all, blah, blah, blah. And when I speak on these things, people say, oh, you're just backing the white man. What's in it for me to back the white man? I just want you to know the truth. This is what happened. How are you going to talk about, okay, Africans need to improve, but yet pass off a lying history? How is the people going to change? They're not going to change, because, it's like people are shaking hands on a lie. So there's no need for changes. There's no need for people to feel accountable. There's no need for people to be like, oh man, that was really messed up. There's no need for that. So people you know, just keep going along. And in fact, even present day, like I said, that people are trading humans in these same places. But people don't want to talk about it because, quote unquote, it's not positive. Oh, we all should get along. Oh, we all same skin color. You think the chiefs cared about that? The chief was thirsty. He sold off 10 humans for whiskey bottle. You think he cared that they all the same skin color? He's like, nah, I need my drink. I need my umbrella. That's all I care about. So this is things we gotta talk about and be factual.
A domestic slave and failed. Domestic work in their master's house, while they failed, work on the farm or on the plantation. Now, right from here now, I'm taking you to see the two out of the 40 rooms that we have in this compound. You'll be seeing 2 rooms the way it were then, and where 40 human beings will be for 3 to 4 months.
Okay, so we're in front of the rooms, and you're going to see how these rooms are. And don't forget, 40 inmates will be in one room. So let's check it out. Follow me.
So what we are doing here, we are just trying to showcase this clothing. This cloth is called regalia. And this regalia was...
Audrey, this is not about like Nigerians being pissed. This has nothing to do with Nigerians, to be honest. It's just this here has a lot more, of the items well organized and preserved. This is not this on Nigerians whatsoever. I'm smart enough to know that it is not people living today that did this or have anything on those chiefs whatsoever. It has absolutely nothing, because obviously this is 2 Nigerians, telling the story about what happened. They're interested in it just like me. So don't see it as a diss. How can I diss today's Nigerians for this? It wouldn't make sense.
It's given to this man called Seric Williams by Brazilian friends. And the clothing is over 200 years of age. And you can see the same clothes that he wore in that black and white picture over there. This staff of office was given to him by one governor, known as Governor Williams McGregor of Lagos in the year 1902, recognizing him as a leader then. And that's a movement to the point of note. You can see, we call it single file. So there, mostly the chain will be on their necks, and they will usually tie their hand at the back. Now, over here, we call this thing iron muzzle. They use the iron muzzle to cover the mouth of the slave, because slaves were allowed to eat and drink water once in a day. The reason why they were not well fed, the Europeans believed that if they give them too much of food, they have a stamina or energy to revolt. So they don't want something to happen or occur. They have to cover their mouth with this thing called iron muzzle. But if the Europeans don't want to use this to cover the mouth of the slave, sometimes they used to pierce the upper lips and the lower lips. They will now apply padlock. Now, this picture tells a lot of stories.
Guys, did you hear how cruel that is and inhumane? Like, you put a muzzle on someone's mouth to prevent them from eating. Oh, like he said, some they would pierce lower and upper lip and put padlock on it just to weaken the person, make them eat only once a day so they don't overcome you. So these people were very much aware of what they were doing, because they going out of their way to subdue these people that they were selling.
Look at these two guys. They are slave raiders, and they want to capture this man as a slave. The man got knife and he stabbed himself to death. That said that slavery was so obnoxious, to say how terrible slavery was. Then I used to tell you that death even better than to be a slave, because a lot of people don't even know the meaning of slave. When they see somebody slave, you now have access to education, food, no good food. You put on dirty clothes, rags. So it's a terrible experience that happened to we Africans, most especially the blacks Africans. Now, these pictures over here, this is a building where Seric Abari started, but the building has collapsed in the 1995. It shall be in the 1847, and this is one of the doors of the building. But that will be the last place I'll be showing you guys in this compound. And these bricks are called burnt bricks. Today, the compound that we are today, the compound will be in the face by the family. Originally, what you see is these bricks, both outside this way. You see the bricks round both the floor, but because the building have been defaced by the family, that's why they have to plaster the compound.
Look, I get it. I've heard some people say, "Oh, the slavery never happened." Like some people would even question, "Oh, where's the ship records?" These records are on both sides of the Atlantic, on both sides. Okay, you can find this. Like, I have personally gone and visited. I'm talking about these, slave houses where they used to, hold people at. Like, I have gone there, seen it for myself, and saw the chains. So I don't know, like, when people say these things, what they're trying to get at. You can't erase something that already happened. Okay, you just have to know for sure, like, because we cannot convict those chiefs. We can't convict them anymore. That's why I saw a Ghanaian, quote unquote, a Ghanaian chief who said, oh, he's apologizing for slavery, to the people. But what followed with that apology, like, I mean, to me, that's not even an apology. It was disturbing. And the chief himself, he sounded like he's drunk. I don't know if he kept some of those whiskeys from hundreds of years ago, whatever, and it was followed with, oh yeah, you guys come here and invest. I think that's the wrong time to talk about that. Like, you're literally saying to people whose ancestors you said, well, I'm sorry for selling you, my ancestors selling you into slavery. You know, they got umbrellas, mirrors, and, drinks out of it. But now come back, and invest some more. So, like, double dipping, getting money from you twice. You see? So the apology was kind of weird to me. It's like, dude, like, what's going on here, And yeah, it just didn't make sense to me. And these things, they exist. And I don't know how people go to Africa, because I've seen all these pan-Africanists. They say they're in Africa. They don't show you these things. You don't have to be emotional about it, but you have to show what it is. And I know people like to say, oh, um, oh, Africa has, resources. This is true. Oh, Africa has resources. I've even heard some say, oh, Africa don't need Europeans or other people. Well, obviously, that is not true, because um, the stuff, these resources in Africa, guess who gives it value? I mean, having the raw material, to be honest, man, I hate to hurt your feelings. It means nothing if you cannot, the product, the product is what is where the value lies, you know? I mean, if you have, oil, petroleum in your soil, but you don't know how to extract it and turn it into, usable material, usable product, is useless. If you have, diamonds, and you can't turn it into anything, it's useless. Okay, look, for instance, like my folks, right? Our people, we travel Africa quite a bit. We're into minerals. We buy these minerals. You know, my father was a diamond trader, diamond dealer. In fact, he had a diamond mine when I was growing up in Sierra Leone. Okay, and the people that go to these mines, because people say, oh, diamond is rich, whatever. So the trade there, those people, they would work in these mines just for a cup of rice. You go to places like, I know some people who used to go to Congo and Angola. Some of my people that I know, this is not a story that people told me. I know these people personally. You go to those remote places in Angola, like, these people would exchange diamonds, diamonds for t-shirts, diamonds for t-shirts. Do you know how many people got rich off of that? And this is not white people. This is people, Africans, that are smart enough in modern day, can travel and get there and exchange these things. Okay, so there is no collectivity in this. It's just, hey, if you don't have a plan on what to do with what you have, somebody else who has a plan, you can't say it's not a fair exchange, because you're the one. Like, if you want to buy my shirt for $10,000, you think I'm gonna say, oh no, it's not worth 10,000? Hey, maybe that's what it's worth to you. Obviously, I'll let you have the shirt and I'll take the 10,000. That's how trade works. So you cannot come back and say, oh, you deceived me. No. Like, I heard some people say, oh, the Europeans tricked the Africans that sold the people. No, maybe these people, like, they wanted to get drunk. They wanted those mirrors. That's what they sold it for. And it's still happening even today. So even people that are, slavery deniers, like, because some people say, oh, we were already in America. Fine. Hey, you could say that. But obviously, the slave trade happened. I've heard people say, show us the ship. This never happened, blah, blah, blah. No, this happened. This happened. You can't run away from this. So all the Hoteps who say they're from Egypt, you're not from Egypt. I'm showing you exactly where you come, your ancestors came from. Okay? People that, you might be mixed with Indian or whatsoever, but you cannot run away from the real history, because if you're obviously around Black people trying to convince them that you are in fact an Indian, maybe you are not sure of being an Indian. Maybe that's why you're trying to, because I don't know why you would need to convince, Black people that, no, all of us are Indians. Hey, if you believe, I mean, I know some native Indians in America. I don't see them here trying to tell other Black people, oh, I am an Indian. They're busy, being an Indian. So let me play a little bit of this. I wanted you guys to see some parts that, was cut off from the other video.
So that the building will still have a stamina and strong. So these are called bonds bricks. And these are some of the ancient pucks where the man kept most of his documents in those days. But we didn't know how many slaves they used to collect these pucks that we are seeing. So Yorubas call this clothing Asho Etu. And this Asho Etu today also is over 200 years of age, owned by this man called Seriki Williams Abbas. Now, this is a picture of the young man I was telling the story outside, the one that was captured at the age of 6, Ifare Milekun. There's a picture. I told that he had education with the second owner, Williams. And here we make the photocopy of his handwriting. When he sold a piece of land to some court at the rate of 16 pounds in the year 12 to 1916. Now, these were the council of members that they are ruling there, because this man was ruling from here up to Laro and Orile Gomo of them. Now,
you guys see this picture right here? That's the picture of the umbrella, you see? So this was a big deal where, it's not, so the chief, you see how it's for prestige. It's not to stop the rain or the sun, but like African rulers, they can be selfish like that. So they have their umbrellas here, and the rest of the people are not under the umbrella, to show that this is the prestigious people. So the things that some of these quote unquote rulers would do for their prestige is beyond me. And by the way, it's still happening in Africa. You guys see, like in most of these countries, like you would see a president be a billionaire, have all the money, with his elite people, and the rest are poor. So nothing's really, like there's improvement in the minds of most of the masses. Obviously, people are more aware today than before, but there still needs to be more work. More work needs to be done with the minds of the people.
Now, this very umbrella that the slave boys here was carrying on the head of the chiefs here, this is surviving umbrella for 40 human beings. This umbrella was made of iron, cane, bronze, and silk, and it's very, very heavy. As you can hear the sound, it should be about, you can see, it should be about 25 to 30 kg. You can see very heavy. It was made of bronze, and you can see the bronze. And this is wood, heavy, strong wood, then silk. Now, they use it, you can see cane. You can see the cane. Then this is another bronze. And you can see the iron for the under, you can see, and bronze.
So you guys see, this is the actual umbrellas that they were trading. And like those Portuguese traders, they did it in a smart way. They only bring like certain amount. because obviously it's only the chiefs and elites who are supposed to have it. You see, the man said it. They brought one, they exchanged that for, right there at Badagry and in Benin, and he said another place. So they don't just flood the place with that, because it's supposed to be special. Because the chiefs, I'm telling you, you know, they don't want the regular people to have it. It's only for them. That's it. So that's why when you're thinking the trade, people think, oh, the Africans it was just open, anyone can come in. No, there was law and order. There were people in charge. Mind you, some of these places you go to, the chieftaincy, the king, whatever, know that this is from, is passed on from generation to generation. So these people have been in charge, even during those times. That, like I've seen documentaries where this some of these chiefs, their descendants would apologize, for what their ancestors did. So they probably still have some of these products in the family. So when you saying, oh, the Africans sold us, or these same people say, oh, we the Africans, we did it. No. Why don't you name the people, the actual group that sold humans and benefited from it?
This umbrella go for 40 human beings as a slave. And the question is this: do you guys think this worth 40 slave? No. The umbrella does not make for the sunshine, not for the rain. Why the chief or the king or the imam is outside, you see somebody carrying an umbrella on their head. It's just to show their status in this society. And this is a 40 human being. And it's terrible. Now, we call this one ankle shackle. They use this to join two slaves together. In the plantation where the slave used to work, used to be a very large farmland, so that they'll not be able to escape from the plantation, because the general overseer is taking care of maybe 200, 100 slaves. They are no more than 2 or 1. So they have to pull this at the ankle of the first slave. Then this straight rod will pass. Then to the ankle of the second slave. They will now lock it with their own padlock here, so that they'll not be able to escape. And because this thing was made of raw iron, most of them to put wounds around the ankle of the slave. Who care? Because they were slaves, the next day they're still gonna put it on their ankle. Now look at these 3 men standing here. They were slaves. If you guys notice the one in the middle, there's a chain being tied around the waist. That's why they had a chain on the neck and the hand. You can see that there's still put chains on the neck, and you can see this chain that people put around the waist. That shows that the guy is a stubborn slave. Any slave that is stubborn, they have to put, we call it waist chain around the ribs. So after some time, it will calm the slave down, so that will be less aggressive fighting other slave or those who want to buy him. Now we have one of the chain available. We don't know the age.
Mind you, this is on the African side. The traders on the other side of the coast, so like last week, somebody Jeswadi tried to say, oh no, she tried to put some sugar and sweeten the African part of it, like, oh no, like she tried to say, oh, Africans enslavement wasn't bad, they enslaved you for 7 years. I don't know where she's getting that from, but obviously that is not true. I don't know what part this is happening at. I know people even today, they have the caste system, who from this time is passed on from generation to generation. They say you have the slave blood, and they are still today considered slaves. So it's not 7 years, it's for life. For life. It's not just, oh no, oh, 7 years, it's over. No, that's not what it is. And obviously, if they are selling the human, the goal was to sell them into permanent slavery because the practice was already with them over there, during those times.
Now you can see that this chain is wearing on, is going gradually.
Yeah.
This is for one slave. We don't know the age of this chain that I'm holding, and they put it around the waist of a stubborn slave. They will lock it so just to calm the slave down, so I'll be less aggressive. Now over here, these are some shackles, some chains in here. Now, this item number 7, we call it iron drilling bit. It has 2 functions. Now, what's your name again?
General.
General. Like now, if I'm general slave, my name should be general, because in natural slave bear the master's name.
Yeah.
Most of the time they put this inside the fire and they will heat it very well. Once it turns red, they now use to write general on my checks or at my pack. We call it brandy. Because slave kept here, we are owned by different owners.
Okay.
For identification, you have to brand your slave with red hot iron. Then secondly, there's some slaves, we call them runaway slave. Today you run, tomorrow you run. The master of shoulders will bring the slave and they'll bring out one of his leg. Our leg have a thumb.
Yeah.
In the middle of the thumb, they'll put this iron drilling bit in between here, and they will drill it down. They will now force the leg open. Or they use machete or an axe. They'll cut off. They'll chop up one of the toes of the slave so that the slave will not be able to run or escape again. If you guys have watched the film called The Root by Alex Saleh, Kinta Kinte, similar to the guy in the movie.
So you guys, this right here, right? Okay, I said this before, and people they lose their mind. So chopping. You guys have seen it. When I told them, I said no. A lot of the practices that even those slave owners, the European planters learned, they learned it from the people they bought the slaves from, like chopping off the slave's foot and all that. So you heard it yourself. I wanted you guys to hear that, where the white planters that bought the slaves, where they learned it from. I'm not, because if I say it, they're gonna, oh no, you're just making it up. I don't know. I have no reason to, but you guys see it here. Let's see, just what is Afridamus. My issue was that you were romanticizing European role in it, but why would, look, that's just your interpretation. Like, how did you come off, saying I romanticize it? Come on, Jesuati, stop being obsessed with romance. I'm not here romancing anything, okay? I'm just telling the story as it is. And like I said, I'm not pointing fingers and I'm not passing the judgment to say who is good or who isn't. One thing is for sure, I just know, this was messed up. Like, I'm glad I wasn't born in that century. I was in nowhere around. And all of us here should be very happy, we are born in this century, not during these times. Because who knows, like, what side of the fence you would have been in. Obviously, if you're the one that the chains has been put on you, somebody taking your freedom, owning you, I don't have to tell you. You guys know exactly what that means. Not pleasant. So, like, the Africans they sold, they didn't only suffer in the plantations because that's what they tell you, like in the Americas. No. Even over there in Africa, they were already in plantations there too. If they run away, they got caught, they kunta kinte them. They chopped off their feet. And I've seen some, they're like, oh, the kunta kinte story is made up. I'm like, so you're telling me some Euro, because kunta sounds to them like a made up name. I know actual human beings, actual humans, people that I know in my neighborhood whose actual name is Kunta. This is not made up name. This is real person that existed. His family exists. But they're like, oh, it was just a made up name. So you're telling me of all the names, and this is not a super popular name, of all the names they could use in a fictional story, they used Kunta. Is that what you're telling me? And somehow mysteriously they went and um and found an actual village. You know, they found people who are actually, they had a family member, you know, who had, they happened to have a family member whose name was Kunta Kinte. Jizwadi, Kunta is not a popular name like that. If somebody is going to make a fictional story, I highly doubt Kunta would have been the first name coming to mind. I highly doubt that. See, Malik said, Afridamus, maybe you existed in that century. Nobody knows. Maybe reincarnation exists, but when you're born again, you don't remember. That's possible. I mean, you know, who knows? Maybe that's why I'm here to give the story so people can, you know, learn, you know, not to repeat this. Because I'm telling you, this is, it's not just a physical thing, it is a mindset. It is a mindset. Think about all these people that are gaslighting in you. You know, oh yeah, St. James is weird how people, they say, oh, they're Africans, they're all about it, but I've never heard anyone even call themselves Kunte. In fact, Kunte Kinte, Kunta in America, people make fun of that name. But I know people present day, who are actually, that's their name. You know, that's their name, Kunta. I know Kuntas that exist today. Oh, hey, Davy. So let me let you guys hear a little bit more before we come to the end of the show here.
Now, they used this one to kill the slave. A white man will say lynch. Later, I'm still going to tell you how they used to lynch the slave with this iron bar. And then these two iron here used to be the back wheel of chariot. That thing was normally pulled, owned by this man called Siriki Williams Sabas. And that smaller chain over there we are used on children. We are told that,
mind you, that Siriki Williams, the name he just called, he himself was once enslaved. He's black, okay? He was once enslaved. So, I mean, I don't know why they don't want you to know these stories, but it's weird. So, who would have thought somebody who himself was once enslaved would have these things and be willing to emit this type of punishments on other enslaved people when he became their master? So even on the other side of the Atlantic, like even in America, they had black slave owners. They had black slave masters at one point. So when people say, oh, we all suffered together. No, you're making a huge mistake. And sometimes I wonder, like sometimes have you heard people where, like I see some people in America, right? Especially black people. They see some people, they don't like them for, they cannot like them. And I wonder, right, if this is passed on from generation to generation, where, because some people who were slave traders themselves, they ended up in slavery, right? So who knows, the people they sold off maybe 2 years prior, and now they're in slavery, and they passed that on to their kids. They're like, yeah, that fool right there, they raided our village and captured us and sold us. So the story just keep going and going. So like some people, your blood cannot even accept them because maybe their ancestors sold your ancestors and they ended up in slavery too. So, you know, like maybe that's why you just can, like some people, you don't like them, you just don't know why. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's the reason. You never know. So when people say, oh no, we all wanted the same, like how the Pan-Africanists want to talk about this, the pie in the sky story. No, 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 no. No. I mean, I hate to tell you, that's not how it was like, you know, and that's not how it is even today. I mean, like literally, there were humans willing to sell other humans, not just one person, several grown men, you know, just to get their drunk on. That's why it was funny when I heard that Ghanaian chief, the Ghanaian chief was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you know, most of our ancestors they fought, but they gave us liquor and got us drunk." Like, dude, what do you mean they gave us liquor? You mean you they exchange humans for liquor? Like, what are you talking about here? You know, he's like, they gave us liquor, they got us drunk and took advantage of us. Like, dude, are you telling me they gave the whole town liquor? They got the whole town drunk? No, the chief, you guys saw the umbrella. The chief was sitting under the umbrella, you know, probably drunk as, you know, as AF. You guys know, he was probably drunk as hell, just sitting there. You see? I mean, who knows, right? So I'm like, dude, your apology, I don't know. That apology is kind of watered down, you know, like just don't say anything, you know? Like, because you don't know what happened unless you're playing dumb, because obviously we're sitting here. Now, none of you that watch this show can come back and say, no, we didn't know what happened. This is not a made up story. This is truth. Facts. You guys are seeing it, you know, unless we're living in another dimension. But as far as I know, if we're on planet Earth, this is what happened here.
That during slavery in Badagry, children were being given out as extra fisijara. That is, say, if you buy like 100 or 200 slaves, they give you 2 children for you to come back and have your slave inside right now.
Did you guys hear that? The special sales, like they would give you extra. Imagine, right? You're like, hey, check this out, right? I mean, I know this is blowing some of you people's mind because it's blowing my mind. It's like, hey, like this world, even this, like this existed. Like it's blowing my mind. Like you're like, okay, check this out. Hey, if you buy 100 people, I would throw in two kids. You know, just so you can come back and buy more. You know, so that you can buy some more. Like, have you ever like think about that for a minute? Like, that's crazy. You know, like even I'm sitting here, I'm doing this, but I'm thinking about it. I was like, wow, what were these people thinking? Like, if you like drinking that much, don't you think you should figure out how to make your own liquor? What, they didn't have palm wine back then? I'm sure they had palm trees. I mean, they could have just drank palm wine if they wanted to get drunk that bad.
We have the rooms, all the 40 rooms in this compound used to be like a smaller room like this. In there, 40 will be there. We call this place inspection room. If European come to buy slave here, the one of the slave will be standing the way I'm standing. They will check the eyesight, they'll look at the dentition, hear the slave is going to turn the slave around. They will examine if he or she is fit, because they are going to walk where they take him. So they want a very fit slave. Any slave about 35, they call them Macron. They don't want those kind of slave. They want a very young child that cool.
Nagmizi is funny. Yeah, yeah. I think some of the slave, Yeah, the slave market was definitely next to the fish market. I guess on the north side of the market, they had the fish market there, and apparently they probably have the queen of the fish market running it. I'll have to do more research on that and see if I can find, what kind of hairdo the fish queen over there back in those days, had. But I'll work on that.
Work here. Now we are going in to see the smaller room where 40 will be. And okay, so you're welcome. Now look at that small window over there. Provide ventilation for 40 human beings that will be here for 3 to 4 months. This is where the wee and popo then. Imagine the odor, the heat, imagine mosquito bite, and imagine how many of them will have died there. That's the reason why when people come there, I used to tell them, you guys are not here to catch fun, but just to feel the pain the people in the past have felt. And each of these ceramibo go for 10 human beings. It doesn't matter the size. Once the European give you one ceramibo, they'll collect 10 human beings as a slave. Now, over here, these 3 pots were originally made from Yoruba's land. Now, the first pot, the Muslims, if they want to have their prayer, they wash their face, leg, and we call it ablution. This is where they used to keep silky abata for ablution, or if you want to take his bath. Then here, this is where he just put his soup, and then he's drinking pot. Now, at your back here, now, these are the cowrie shell, the money. Some of the money I show you guys outside. And when the man became the Seriki Musulumi of Badagry Kingdom, European that are doing the trade gave him this jug as a gift during his coronation as a Seriki Abbas. And the bride this was given to him by the Brazilians that are doing the trade. And then look at this bottle. If you guys look closely at the body of the bottle, you see 1870 customized on the body of the bottle. This is a 10 human. European will give our father 10 bottle of 1 bottle of whiskey, and they collect 10 human beings as a slave. Now, those black round things, we call them records. Those are the olden day records.
So you guys see that, right? So not only they was, exchanging humans for liquor, they were also, exchanging them for records. I mean, now I'm curious, like, what, they were listening to Tupac lyrics back then? Who knows? Like, who was singing in those records? So you see, there's a lot that happened, but people just want to touch the surface, and people are so comfortable. Like, you got these hoteps running around talking about, oh, we built the pyramid. People, I tried being a hotep, I couldn't do it. Okay, I couldn't do it. Let's see. Reina said, Afridamus, leave the Benin tribes alone. Talk about the discrimination amongst your people. Look, Reina, I'm not, again, maybe you're late. I'm not picking on any tribe, I'm just talking about, the place this place hold a lot of records, they preserve this. So, but for sure, if you want me to talk about the discrimination, by all means send me the topic that you think I should look into. But like at the Afridamus report, not every topic is for everyone. Sometimes it can be heavy, but we believe in the truth here. It's not malicious. The truth shall set you free. But you guys see right here, I'm not making this up. They have records on the wall. You see, they set it up like platinum record. I mean, think about this, right? So the chief, I wonder, like, what the chief just comes and say, hey, let me get the, you got that Tupac beats. That's not, I mean, like, this is wild. This is now even blowing my mind. I wonder who's singing on those records. Obviously, it's European records, So they were really into that. So the chief was getting his liquor under the umbrella, and he put on his, European records, just chilling like a villain. So people did thought like the technology they had in Europe back then, some of the chiefs, they had it. They had the furnitures, the fur clothes, and all that. So when people are talking about Egypt, they don't know what they're talking about. Let's talk about the latest history before, way, because Egypt was way, before. And since they built chariots and all that, that means they have the skills to build these things. But it will be hard for you to convince me that you were able to build all this, but couldn't even make your own liquor. I mean, come on. Come on. This is not helping anyone. It's not helping anyone because you can't keep saying these things without backing them up. And blacks and Africans in general have adopted this, where they just say things, they do, oh, we did this without proofs. And rest of the world is looking at you like, hey, you're crazy. Like, everyone knows this story. Like, are you deliberately just ignoring this story because it's real? That's what I'm telling you. Like, I tried being a hotep, but I know too much real history. I couldn't do it. I can't deceive myself like that. Like people talking about their, and you notice all of them are related to King Tut for some reason. None of them were regular people in ancient Egypt. Everyone is related to King Tut or King Tahaka. They are all royalty. So something isn't right here.
What we use now is called CD or DVD. But in the olden days, those are the record they use for music. Now, we used to call the engine gramophone, but we didn't know how many slaves they use in exchange for that CD or record to say. Now, right from here now, we'll be paying a visit to see the second cell and see what you have inside. You see, gonna bend your head. Why? Slaves will be here for 3 to 4 months. And look at that small window for ventilation. Now, these are some of the olden days iron corrugated sheet they use for the roofing then. You can hear the sound. You can see that it's different from what we produce now. What we produce now is very, very light. And this is what we produce.
Oh yeah, Audrey. Yeah, tell Reina. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that. I have talked about it before on Facebook. I mean, like Audrey, you tell Reina. She knows. Like, for me, none of these topics are off limits. I talk about what is factual, what is happening. But yeah, it's already in the pipeline. In fact, I have several audios that were sent to me. They're in our language, which I would have to do the translation, but it's real. That's why the other day I heard some people talking about the caste system, and they're trying to romanticize it, and I'm like, wow. So why don't you go tell somebody in the caste system who is in the slave class and try to tell them how romantic that is, and see if they like it. I mean, because in the West, when you live in the West, especially in America, it's so easy to delude yourself. Like, like you create all this fantasy as if it's real. I mean, like, oh, Afridamus, he's a self-hater, blah blah blah. Oh, okay. So you, who can't even speak any of these languages in Africa, you've never lived there. I've lived in several African countries, grew up there. So you know and love Africa more than me. You want me to believe that. So that's why I'm all about evidence, benefit of the doubt. I mean, you can scream, kick, whatever, but I talk to intelligent people. I don't have to spell everything out for you. I don't have to try to I'm not trying to convince you of anything. But logical people, smart people, they don't argue with facts. They don't let facts, kick them in the ass. They don't allow that. So if you're not about facts, you're not gonna like what I'm saying because you're putting your emotions in it. But that's not what I'm about. I'm about information. And yeah, and these informations sometimes they are not too pleasant because even the hoteps, they contradict themselves a lot. And the pan-Africanists, they would tell you about how rich these countries are, but you would see them making videos talking about, oh, I'm here, to mingle with the locals. Uh-oh, locals. Oh, you're using colonialist language. In fact, in Gambia, when you refer to the people, they don't even understand this is actually offensive to say to somebody like local. They call it local, meaning ignorant, you know? But, oh, I'm here. So we all black, I'm all about blackness. Now you got to your brothers and sisters. Now they are the locals, and you're using the colonialist lingo because that's what the people, the whites that colonized the place, that's how they referred to the people as such. That's what they referred to them as. So, oh man, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna open up the line here real quick. I'm gonna open up the line. I didn't even see that it's been over 2 hours already. Must be really fun. But I'm gonna open up the line. Guys, when you come in, we make it fast, and tell me what you think about what you've seen, and or what you know to be true. Audrey, you need to call in because you seem to like the call-in show. You gotta call in. Let's see here. Um, Raina said, "I'll pass. I just don't like how hypocritical Afridamus is." Raina, why don't you call up and tell me how hypocritical I am? Because you see, people can just sit there and write these things, but they don't even make sense. How am I being hypocritical about anything? So if you think I'm being hypocritical, by all means, the link is there. Hit the link and, come tell me, what I'm being hypocritical about. All right, we have Fuller Sport. Fuller Sport, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. So Fuller Sport, were you, before today, were you aware of the exchange rate, for slaves? And did you know how much role the chiefs themselves actually played, the Africans?
Um, I read books on the slave trade. I read books on it.
Oh, okay.
However, however, I wasn't really aware of the the exchange rate of the slaves, but I do know that like most of the time with slavery, a lot of the time with slavery, it was like two factors. Number
Mhm.
one, the factor had to do with the economy in the New World. with like different things like coffee, sugar, just different stuff in the New World, like on
Right.
the other side of the Atlantic. So they started with indentured servants in Europe. They said, nah, native people got killed off, and then they brought Africans. But at the same time, it was a matter of survival mode for a lot of these Africans. Like, because you have to understand
Wait,
something.
but when you say survival mode, right?
What I
On
mean
on
by
on who was in the survival mode? Because mind you, right?
yeah,
This the chiefs or
yeah,
the people that were, in this business,
mhm.
they already they already like they already have power. They already, because this has been
Well,
going on
well,
forever.
well, yeah. Well,
So
here's
they
the
were
thing.
not just barely
No,
surviving.
no. What I mean by that is I understand that the chiefs and stuff have power, but the thing is unfortunately the Pan Africanists and the Hoteps leave this out. Africans had conflicts with each other. So once the slave demand really got high, it's like, hey, better you than me. I'm gonna go to your kingdom. I'm gonna get slaves from your kingdom. I'm gonna sell them to Europeans, vice versa. So the thing I dislike what Pan Africanists do, they try to say, like, for example, like certain groups of Africans based on religion were against each other. And it had nothing to do with religion. It had to do with, hey, better you than me. There's a demand for slaves, so I'm gonna go get these slaves, be it like Muslims being involved, being that like quote unquote traditional African spirituality,
Yeah,
people be
but if you look at it, right?
yeah,
Okay, these people, like, it's not based on just religion whatsoever. I mean, from even you can see from the historian,
right,
this was just straight. They need they need something. They need, trinkets, and that's
hmm,
what they are doing. And there's
yeah,
somebody you see, after even seeing all this documentary, it's weird to see people still in denial. Somebody is here saying, "Oh, Afridanos is spreading misinformation. Oh, the Gambia, they used to get salt from Mali." This person obviously, they don't know,
no,
they don't know the
no,
ancient history.
no,
Like Mali, where was Mali getting the salt from? First of all,
exactly,
where would they be
exactly,
getting it from? You see what I'm saying? Because
exactly,
the Ghana Empire, which was there before the Mali Empire, they were
right,
trading with the Arabs for salt. And that
exactly.
territory covered, you know, that territory covered Mali.
Right.
So, like, what is this individual talking about? You see,
You
they
know,
don't.
you know the sad thing is that they're so over emotional about the facts, and the facts of the matter is that there's a word that they have. It's called "it takes two to tango." So it wasn't just that Europeans just came over and decided, okay, we're gonna like round them all up. No, they had collaborators, and those collaborators were African. You
Yeah,
know,
but why do you think, for example, right? We have someone in the chat who thinks, "Oh, we should move on, like, hey, we obviously have moved on. We're just doing history lesson here." But what is it about some of these people? Why do you think they get offended, uncomfortable, and they want to run away from the truth? Like, what's going on? What do you think their reason is? Why are they so allergic to the truth? Oh, unmute yourself.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, but when I run into a lot of these people, it's like if they call themselves kings, if they say we're from Egypt, we're from royalty, I'm from African royalty, I'm this, that, and the other, they have like this complex about themselves. Like they have a complex about like, oh, like almost like some kind of superiority complex. But then when you hit them with the truth, like then that kind of takes a hit to their ego. Because I'm going to be honest with you, most of the Pan Africans you meet are very arrogant, very like big headed, and kind of condescending, you know?
Yeah, interesting. Well, even the meaning pan African, pan, that's Greek word for all Africans. But hey, I mean, the fact of the matter is, I hope everyone that's watching have, obviously, learned something new here. Um, for, you know, it's not for everyone. Some are gonna say, "Oh, why don't we move on?" Hey, you can move on, but this is a popular topic that people somehow are constantly being misled. So just maybe, people need to hear this and know exactly how it happened, because every single time every time slavery comes up, they always say, oh, the white man did it, the white man did it. Yet, you know um, the old slave routes, some of the people that even engage in this, it's like it's passed on from generation to generation. They're still in fact selling people, in
Exactly.
Africa. You know this,
Exactly.
right?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, they're still
Even
selling people.
even right now, Libya has a slave market. Right now, as we speak, Libya, like what
Oh,
happened
look
in
at somebody. Reynald said, "No Gambian has the name Kunta." Reina, you don't know what you're talking about. You must not be a Gambian. Like, what do you mean? Like, I know plenty of people with the name Kunta. I mean, some of these people. Reina, I'm not. You've proven yourself to not know what you're talking about, so I'll just ignore your comments. Like, Kunta? What do you mean no Gambian has the name Kunta? I know plenty of people,
uh
with the name
exactly,
Kunta. I
exactly,
I
exactly.
personally know somebody named Kunta. Personally.
Um, there's also a tribe called Kunta tribe, but it's like
Yeah,
very,
but that's different. You see,
yeah, exactly.
people like her confuse again. People conflate things where they hear one thing, it sounds the same, and they try to say, "Oh, this is what it is." She's saying, "Oh, Kunta Kinte was Moroccan." Where the hell did you
What the
get that
hell?
from?
Where do you get
Moroccan.
that from? Moroccan.
Well, because of the Kunta tribe. Now, all of a sudden, you know.
Well, the thing
No,
is,
I
the
know,
Kunta,
I know, Kunta is a Mandinka name and it's a Mandinka word. I know the meaning. So
no,
this
but
individual don't even know
no,
what
but
they are talking about.
no, but even with the Kunta tribe, they're not really in Morocco like that. They're like maybe in like Mauritania more. You have some in Niger, some in Mali, some in like more like Western Sahara, in southern Algeria. You don't really have the Kunta tribe in Morocco anyway. You know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah,
Yeah, it's now that's why I hope people you understand why this channel is needed here, because um so many people have been brainwashed, even today, even after showing these documentaries, they are still in denial about this. But Fuller Sport, thank you for coming again. Looks like I'm over 2 hours and 30 minutes. I appreciate you coming here.
no problem. There's some comments about like obviously the fact that I've been here for like quite a while in America, but I
Right.
guess you can't be like correctly speaking and be African at the same time. I guess it's out of your reach to like master the English language being here. So I'm looking at some comments and stuff like that. And while I feel compelled to speak Fulani Creole or Wolof or something like that, I'm not going to do it. But, I was thinking about insulting them in
No,
Creole or
don't.
Wolof.
It,
Yeah,
it,
but I'm not
yeah,
going to do it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
yeah, yeah.
well, like people are gonna say stuff. Oh, and yeah, GK, thanks for reminding me. Hey, rest in peace to Dolph. Another rapper got killed. So R.I.P. to
Well,
Dolph.
the
I'll
problem.
have to do a
No,
show on those.
no. Well, last but not least, the problem with that is um, even with the surveillance of the video and stuff like that, the one of the shooters looked like he was scared, to even do what it is that he was doing. Um, and these idiots who did it don't realize that they're just gonna make a volcano now, and watch more people are gonna like now die because of that crap.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. And
Yep.
cute niece. Yes, Kuntau and Kuntaya are names of places, but what's that have to do with Kunta? Those are complete separate things. They have nothing to do with each other. I mean,
Right.
if you guys are Gambians, you guys are blowing my mind at how crazy and ignorant you guys sound. Like,
Right.
you don't have to always comment about things you don't know. But Full Sport, thanks for coming. About to
Yep.
end the show here, but most definitely,
Yep.
call back again.
Definitely. One more thing I wanted to say. You should like do a show on. I had a topic in mind. But what's your email? Because I can send you
Oh,
the.
it's in my description area.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll
yeah,
send it to you.
yeah. Hit me
Okay.
with it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Fuller Man. Follow his channel. You guys know he always comes in and drop the game. And the person that was asking if Pan Africanism is a joke, Mick Mill. If you have to ask me that, you know the answer. I mean, like, there are people who are genuine about it, but this would blow your mind. In the real Pan Africanists who really even fostered Pan Africanism, believe it or not, it was Muammar Gaddafi. He put his money where his mouth was. He helped fight neocolonialism in Africa with his money. So a lot of these people that saying they're Pan Africanists going to Africa, obviously we see we see like, I don't have to tell you, but if you have eyes, you could see for yourself. If the person is about that, they don't have to tell you. They don't have to tell you. Their action would show. But hey, if you some people, they just want to go to Africa. You see them, they make videos there. Oh, I'm over here, trying to help the locals, or whatsoever. But have you ever seen them showing you these videos that I've just shown you? They could visit these places, but they want to talk about lands, investment, and stuff. Hey, you could do that too. But you know that there are a lot of people that are interested in knowing about these stories. They want to know, and there's nothing better than showing the reality. Yes, we can move on, but it is based in facts, not reality, you know. And oh, obviously now I get it. This person is saying they went and Googled stuff, and you're talking to somebody who don't need to Google this thing. I actually lived it and lived there and know the people. But if you gotta Google it, it tells me, yeah, okay. So Google is right about everything, apparently. Good luck with that. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. I enjoyed the show. I don't know about you, but I did enjoy it, and I hope you've learned, you know, things about it here as well. And tomorrow, I'll be back with another interesting topic, because people have been asking me. They said, should mixed people be considered black? Somebody raised that question. We will talk about that. Oh, okay. I'm gonna let this one person in real quick. Oh, let's see here. We got we got Nakfula. Nakfula, welcome to the show.
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing well. Nakfula, we got our first Fuller man to second Fuller man to call in. It's from the Nakfula tribe.
Bro, I listened to the whole show. It
Yeah,
was a great show.
thank you.
Every like my wife and I were listening together,
Yeah,
and you hit on the same points that I hit on, but you deliver it differently. And I said, yeah, I have a different style, obviously different personality, but also there's probably a little baggage there. So
right,
when I deliver it, what I'm saying, there's some shit behind it because I'm on the other side of that trade. You feel me?
right.
But again, excellent show. The Pan Africans cannot respond with facts to what you said tonight. I appreciate it, and keep doing your thing, brother.
Thank you, thank you. Hey, thanks for calling in, man. You gotta call in again, bro.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna call in again. But yo, real quick, young Dolph, right? I heard his name was Adolf something that sounded a little French. So is he even FBA? That if he is, then he is. But like Black Americans don't normally name their kids Adolf. That's like some, I
You
don't
know,
know. I'm gonna have to Google that.
I've I've heard people. I've seen the name yesterday, and yeah, you're right. It actually, also I was like Adolf. That's the first black person I've heard with that name. But okay,
Yeah. All right.
sounds
But
more
anyway,
like
rest in
Haitian.
peace. Yeah,
Rest in
like a
peace.
Haitian. I
Yeah.
think he's Haitian. But rest in peace to him. If he had children, I hope, they're okay. You know what I'm saying? There's gun violence in America. That shit it ain't gonna stop. So I'm not gonna speak pie in the sky. It's just gonna have to, I don't know. It's gonna continue. Only thing you can do is just separate yourself from people that live and operate on that frequency. But thank you again, man. You work tonight, and I don't know. Are you monetized?
No,
Are you
that's
gonna
why.
get monetized?
Well, that would restrict me from the things I say.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
yeah. So keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? Keep it real. It's truth over super chats. I appreciate you, brother, and I'll check you on the next one.
Hey, thanks, man, for coming. That was not full of people, and that brings us to the end. And McMillie, don't worry. The Mixed People show is coming, and I'll open the line. I know you're probably eager to call in, but we'll make it happen, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope you enjoyed the show and enjoy your Friday. And I'll see you on the next one.